Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Chaos Child, and possibly, I think, getting Kazuki's ending today. I was gonna say good ending. It's probably not gonna be good. We're probably all gonna die, and but we're getting her ending at any rate. So, yeah, just get into it. See how far we get. I left the dorm. We talked for a while about how exactly we were gonna face Wakui until there was just an hour left before the time he'd given. Fear filled my chest. I took deep breaths so that I could stay calm. There wasn't much we could do. More than anything, if we wanted to use Kazuki's power to its fullest, we needed to go someplace with a lot of people. The most populated place in Shibuya right now was the Hikario. Actually, every other place in Shibuya was empty. Ito had told me yesterday that people without any home except Shibuya had taken the place over. We were lucky that Wakui had told us to go there. The plan was to arrive early and just have Kazuki say as many words as possible. Sorry, buddy. If something happened, good for us. It wasn't even fair to call this a plan. But with only an hour left, there was nothing else we could do. I'm ready, maybe. Kazuki came out of the dorm. Did you change? Just my skirt and underwear, maybe. Oh, I see. Because the poor girl peed herself and has been wandering around with, pea panties and a pea skirt for, a day. Kazuki had wet herself when Wakui had attacked her, so I made her change. It would have been better if she'd switched into something easier to move around in, but for some reason she was still in her uniform. I mean, seriously, why didn't she put her tracksuit on? I displayed the map on my Pokécom. It was a photo of the map in the club room I'd taken yesterday. If we wanted to get to the Hikario, we'd have to avoid the monsters appearing from the portal device. The fastest and safest route from Hekio Dorm 1 to the station was... Yep. Because I'm assuming the red dot. Oh no, that's the one above the school. Oh yeah, which would make sense. That's where the dorm would be. Yeah, okay. We'll take Meiji Street. We can take the subway tunnel next to Miyashita Park and go underground and head straight to the Hikario. Kazuki nodded and slowly offered me a piece of dried squid. Did she want me to eat it? So this is our last meal, huh? Possibly. I gratefully took the squid from Kazuki and bit into it. The unique smell and taste fill my mouth. It's good. As I felt like I was starting to cry, Kazuki grabbed me by the arm. Her tiny body was still shaking. We were going to die, so of course she was. She may have hated to lose, but that didn't mean she wasn't scared. I patted her lightly on the back to encourage her, and started to lead the way. But our plan quickly hit a stumbling block. Our investigation yesterday hadn't found any portals around here, but... I thought there might be one here. We concealed ourselves as we looked down from the pedestrian bridge onto Meiji Street. 5 huge dragons covered in yellow and black scales were stomping up and down the block. When I looked in the direction of the station, I could see the distinctive light of a portal device 50 meters ahead of us. We went back to the park and hid. That thing wasn't there yesterday. If it was in some place that obvious, one of us would have seen it. Then it probably appeared sometime since we looked yesterday. So what do we do now? How are we supposed to get to the Hikario? There wasn't much time left. The portal devices are appearing in a circle around Shibuya Station. The Hikario is right next to the station on the east side. We can't use the trains. There are no trains coming to Shibuya Station. We may have to do something dangerous, maybe. Like break through. It's true that getting within a 100-meter radius of a portal device doesn't mean you're definitely going to be attacked. If we can just get through fast without them finding us... What if, for example, we were to run from our present location, the back of Miyashita Park Management Office, over the pedestrian bridge, down the stairs, and then to the subway entrance? Now it's too dangerous. Kazuki tilted her head at me in confusion. Why was it dangerous? Time for a lecture. We don't really know what those monsters are physically capable of, do we? They were originally creatures from a video game, after all. I fought them a lot in the game. That's not the issue. It's different fighting them in the game versus fighting them in real life. We haven't seen for ourselves how fast or smart they can be. And even if we do make it past the ones on the road, we don't know that there aren't more in the subway station. If there are, we'll have nowhere to run since we can't head back up the stairs. That's the worst possible scenario. Which was another reason I wanted to approach things from a safe spot. If we died before we could use Kazuki's power, there'd be no point. We wouldn't be able to save Kurusu or hurt Wakui. Kazuki seemed to agree. I loaded the map image back onto my Pokecom. There's not enough time left to go to another station and head around from there. I thought about heading down the tracks from Shinsen, Daikanyama, or Omotesando stations? Omotesando. That's a mouthful. Anyway, but that wasn't realistic. The stations were still running. If one of the staff caught us sneaking on the tracks, we might lose valuable time. Was there any other way? I glared at the map. Seems like there should be a way through on the map. On the map, at least. The 100-meter radius around the portal device was just a safe zone the police had established. If we use that as a base to look at where in Shibuya was safe to travel... As long as we could get through the... Hey! Stop! Seibo department store right next to the Tatsuya, we could make it out into Scramble Crossing, and we had Kazuki's Dai Sword to do that. There were no portal devices in Scramble Crossing as of yesterday. A new one might have appeared, but that whole area was a complex maze, both above and below ground, and we might be able to escape. Let's go this way. Kazuki looked at the route I showed her and quickly nodded. The sky was a cheerful blue, but beneath it the buildings were as quiet as the dead. As we ran through the streets, we could hear the distant howls of monsters. I felt like I'd become a character in a video game. Weird, because you kind of are. We were going through a tiny, tiny safe area, dodging between the various danger spots. Are you talking to yourself now? You being nice? Well, before you were sitting there talking to yourself in the mirror. Now you're just sitting up on the water bottle being a jerk, huh? Yeah, well, as long as you're nice chirping. And I know sometimes you squawk when you're chirping, and that's fine. That is not fine. Stop it. Nice chirp. And that safe area was just something I'd come up with quickly and hadn't had a long time to think about. There was no guarantee at all it was actually safe. The stress of knowing that a monster might leap out at us at any minute started to wear me down. But still... We broke open the shutter at Seibo department store and ran through the building. Seibo? And across the abandoned Scramble Crossing and under the bridge. And somehow managed to reach the Hikario. The door was open wide and I could see many homeless people inside. I hadn't seen this many people together for days. There were hundreds of them. Some were sleeping on beds made of cardboard and others were enjoying a lunchtime banquet of drinks and snacks. All the voices overlapped into a chaotic spiral of noise. I felt strangely at home. Kazuki and I looked at each other. This is more than enough people. Ready? We had less than 15 minutes until noon. Do it. Kazuki took a deep breath. Super strong sumo sticker! And screamed into the cardio. That was... Super strong sumo sticker! Again. Super strong sumo sticker! And again. Super strong sumo sticker! So funny to just saying it once but having to say it 4 times. All the people gathered at the cardio were staring in shock at this teenage girl who'd shown up out of nowhere and started shouting nonsense at them. All the noise in the entrance hall faded into dead silence. Super strong sumo sticker! Kazuki's voice was the only thing you could hear. Super strong sumo sticker! It sounded like some kind of gag. Stop it! She only screamed the one phrase. Her goal was to imprint it as deeply as she could into the minds of the people here. That was the best plan we could come up with in the short amount of time we had. Yeah, but they might all be thinking of different ones. Like, you might have seen a fake one and been like, huh, and like, that's the one you think of. There might have been a better way, but as exhausted and stressed out as we were, it didn't seem likely that we'd be able to come up with it. Of course, I didn't expect this plan to work. It was barely even a plan at all. But even so, since Kazuki's power couldn't be controlled, there was no telling what exactly it could do. The possibilities were infinite. The same way it created those portal devices all around Shibuya and the monsters that came with them. Okay, so, like, it was her power spiraling out of control. You know, because, like, I kind of stopped thinking about it when it was like, thinking that Nightheart is Takumi from the first game, like, well, the prequel, the prior game, anyway. It's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Then I guess he wouldn't be doing anything like this, but maybe it would do something we didn't expect. It was like, we found that we kind of like, oh, maybe that's who he's supposed to be. Okay, fine. And then I didn't think, like, well, then I guess that means he wasn't, like, setting the shit up. So it was just her power going bananas. Which, I mean, absolutely makes sense. It's just either one could have been an option. Either one would have made sense, but not knowing that he no longer has any powers and whatever, but my hope was that it would create a sumo sticker stronger than all the ones in Shibuya combined. At this point, it was all luck. I had no idea what would happen. Maybe nothing would. See, he's being nice. You're talking nice now? There wasn't much time left at all until noon. These last 10 minutes were all we had left. All we could hope for was that something would appear that would help us fight Wakui. There was barely anything I could do, except maybe stay here with Kazuki. Just think about sumo stickers. Super strong sumo sticker! Kazuki must have hurt her throat from screaming so much. She suddenly started to cough and heave. But she kept yelling, super strong sumo sticker! Super strong sumo sticker! She is screaming. You do not scream. You stop that. You have been, like, kind of an asshole all day, but it's been off and on. Don't you start your constant on now. Super strong sumo sticker! That hurt my throat. It's time. Kazuki gasped and fell silent. But that's enough. But nothing had happened yet. Nothing happened. That was the reality. There just wasn't enough time for Kazuki's power to create something. Kazuki, you did great. We lost our chance to fight back. And at this rate, we wouldn't be able to save Kurusu either. The regret threatened to overwhelm me. But I couldn't run away now. I had to go. I told myself that I couldn't stop here. I'm sorry, Kazuki. This all happened because you saved me. Together. Kazuki whispered and softly took my hand. I gripped her hand back. Her warmth made me, me is missing, but made me feel just a little bit better. The only good thing about this was that Kazuki said she'd stay with me until the end. Otherwise, I might have been too scared to go. Now look up. Go to Wakui. That's your last chance to save Kurusu. The homeless men were still looking at us in shock. We ignored them and headed for the elevator, still holding each other's hands. The theater cube was on the 11th floor of the Hikario. The entrance hall was called the Sky Lobby, and it was an all-glass observation deck. You could look out and see Shibuya from there. Even at this height, I could see how empty the town was. It was like time itself had stopped. Hey, you almost didn't make it. The entrance was empty except for Wakui. He spoke like he was still our teacher and we were still his students. Pissed me off. He was a bag of shit wearing the skin of a teacher. For a second, I was like, Kurusu is like really short compared. That's really odd. And then she's sitting down. Okay, that makes more sense. I'm like, why does she like 4 feet tall? What the hell? I hated myself for not seeing it sooner. There was a single chair next to him. Kurusu was sitting in it. Kurusu! She didn't respond. She wasn't tied down or restrained in any way. She was sitting up straight, her posture excellent, with her hands on her lap. Her expression was lifeless. Her eyes were open, but there was no sparkle in them. He couldn't have... What did you do to Kurusu? She's probably trapped in that nightmare that we were in. Nothing, really. I just brought out a little bit of past trauma. You bastard! I didn't hurt her physically at all. I just needed her to be quiet for a little while. I don't think it's fair to criticize me. My vision turned red with rage. I was overtaken with the impulse to punch him in the face. Kazuki gripped my hand tighter. Our eyes met. She said nothing, but she sadly shook her head. I thought I could tell what she was trying to say. Don't resist. We'd come here to be killed. We would turn ourselves over to Akui in exchange for Kurusu. Don't bite me because I'm fixing my headset. You're being mean. We'd run out of ideas. Kazuki's words hadn't worked. Our last hope was to do whatever Wakui wanted. I gripped my fist tightly and swallowed my anger. Please release Kurusu. We're not going to fight you. Oh, really? Wakui chuckled and put his hand on Kurusu's shoulder in a friendly way. That was almost enough to bring the anger back. I thought I saw you trying something down there, though. Shit, he'd found out. I mean, he's been here, so... Kazuki couldn't speak. I had to come up with something. But it ended up not working. So he gave up and came here. It's not that big of a deal to you, right? You're so much more powerful. If you want to kill us, then go ahead and kill us. But at least don't hurt Kurusu. You can at least do that, right? So you want to die that badly, Miyashiro? I gulped. I'd rather die than go through what I experienced yesterday. It'd be easier. I spoke honestly. I see. And the committee didn't actually tell me to kill you too? Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't quite right. They told me not to kill Kazuki. You're a valuable sample, you see. As for Miyashiro, well, they honestly don't care that much. She gave me her permission to kill you, so I suppose it's up to me. Huh? Who is she? What did he mean it was up to him? Well, we can work out what to do with Miyashiro later. It's so funny. We need Kazuki. We don't care about you. But I'm special. They don't know it, though. We don't, we figured that out in the main route. Like, when Kunosato's like, you actually have more than one power. Like, which is strange. Like, but right now we have no idea how to use our powers. So they're like, you're useless. Kazuki, though, she's dangerous. We want her, but like, just leave me alive. I'll come for you. 10 years later, Chaos Child 2 is us going to bust out Kazuki. That's a first-person shooter game where we just go in guns blazing. He's so funny. Yeah. He laughed mockingly. Holy shit. Okay, so his die sword is like a fucking windmill. What the fuck is that? And took out a sword. Its shape was awful. So terrifying that just seeing it made me want to throw up. Yeah, it's like a Venus flytrap windmill thing going on. It's a little creepy. It felt like the physical embodiment of what a piece of shit Wakui was. First, we'll take Kazuki. He put the blade up to Kurusu's neck. And drive her to despair. Wait! That wasn't the deal! Instantly, Kazuki shook off my hand. She bringing out her sword. Bitch gonna fight. I made her own die sword appear. The blade whipped about like a snake and then hardened into a solid, straight form. She flung it straight at Wakui. It was just a quick snap of the wrist with no wind-up at all, but it flew so fast it created shockwaves as it traveled. Wakui blocked it with his own blade. See, you do want to resist. You shouldn't lie to your teachers, you know. Let's teach that lying mouth of yours a lesson. Okay, I can't scream really loud, but she was screaming. Oh my god, she looks terrifying. Suddenly and inexplicably, Kazuki stuck out her tongue. What was she doing? She looked up toward the ceiling and stuck it out more. She stood up on her tiptoes, her legs shaking like a newborn fawn's and her hands flapping desperately to keep balance. He's doing that shit to her, psychological trauma. It was like she was being pulled upward by an invisible fishing hook that had pierced right through her tongue. Ow! Kazuki, what's wrong? Tears formed in the corners of her eyes. Her expression contorted in pain. Her eyes looked to me for help. Didn't your parents ever tell you when you were little? If you lie, the Lord of Hell will rip out your tongue. I felt something cold run down my back. I had a very bad feeling. Stop it! There was no time for me to even reach out my hand. Before Kazuki bit off her own tongue. Ah! Oh, gross. Blood spurted everywhere. Her frail body lost its balance and collapsed. Well, now she can't talk. So she's kind of useless to the committee. Kazuki! I ran over and held her in my arms. Her eyes had rolled into the back of her head and bubbles were pouring from her mouth as her body spasmed with pain. Huh? But there was no blood around her mouth. So what had I just seen? Confused, I used my fingers to open her mouth. Her tongue was still there. It hadn't been severed. I looked around and couldn't see any pieces of it lying on the floor. Wakui was grinning. I'm sure a realistic dream of biting off your own tongue is quite the dramatic experience. But we're only just getting started. I need Kazuki to be very thoroughly broken. That's what we do with samples. He's fucking awful, but I kind of love it. Like, I'm just saying, he is the kind of crazy that you were like, somebody who's angry and violent is scary, but like somebody who is like mentally deranged like this is terrifying. And you were like, I hate you so much because I can't do anything and I'm so scared. I might pee. Like, it's so good. I hate it so much. It's so good. I didn't even feel any rage. There was only powerlessness and despair. There was no point in even trying to fight him. And I couldn't save anyone. Not Kurusu, not Kazuki, not even myself. Everything was up to Wakui now. All I could do was wait for the moment of my death like cattle. I hadn't even planned on fighting back when I'd come here anyway. I knew I probably wouldn't be able to save Kurusu. That's right, none of this was unexpected. I'd be killed, and I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. There was nothing more to it than that. No matter how much I had to watch Kazuki... No matter how much I had to watch Kazuki and Kurusu suffer, they were all gonna die anyway. It didn't matter. Once you died, the pain went away. I was tired. I just wanted this over with. Maybe I should bite off my own tongue. What? You're about to break too, Miyashiro? What a wimp you are. I'll show you what happens after we left off, then. Wakui put the blade back to Kurusu's neck. Don't look away. Watch carefully. Look! The sharp blade sliced open the white flesh of her neck. Blood spurted out like a fountain. This poor girl gets killed all the time, doesn't she? She's like my least favorite character, but she doesn't deserve to die violently like this. I mean, I'm just saying. I watched it as if in a trance. Kurusu's head had slumped forward, so Wakui grabbed it and lifted it up so I could see her face. Her expression was blank. There was no sign of pain, no sign of resistance. That made me feel just a little better. At least she didn't suffer. Wakui's blade was extremely sharp, and it cut through Kurusu's neck like a knife through butter. Really? Have you tried to cut like cold butter? It's not as easy as it sounds. It didn't seem real at all. It was like watching the death of one of the characters in the game I'd play with Kazuki. Wakui lifted up Kurusu's head and tossed it away. It landed on the ground in front of me as I lay there, her long hair wrapping around it as it rolled. Well, he cut her head completely off, huh? I hadn't realized her head was so small. As I stared at it, someone walked over to me. I looked up. Kurusu's headless body was standing in front of me. The body slowly picked up the head, then went back to the chair. Then it put its head back on, the same way a person might put on a helmet. A low moan came from its mouth. It's like he's fucking with our brain. And the thing is the best way to resist him is like, oh my god, the panic and the freak. No. It's like, okay. Yeah. Just like, don't resist. And then it's not fun for him anymore. A low moan came from its mouth. Kurusu blinked several times and looked at me. Takuru. What was going on? What kind of nightmare was this? Her head was connected to its body once more. Takuru. Kurusu saw me and started to cry. Save me! Takuru, save me! What was happening? Why? Oh, let's change things up for the second time. Huh? The second time? What did he mean the second time? Wakui stuck the blade up against her neck again. Kurusu's features contorted with terror. Takuru, save me! Please save me! Please! Stop! She just died. You just chopped off her head! So why was she asking me for help? No, I don't want to die. You already did. Don't look at me that way. Goodbye. No, 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 no! Stop. She screamed and shook as her neck was sliced open. Stop! Her screams quickly stopped and were replaced by a sound like air from a leaky pipe. Her head rolled down and landed on the floor with a thud. Stop it, please. What was going on here? Why did Kurusu have to get her head cut off twice? Kurusu had nothing to do with this. She hadn't caused any problems for Wakui or the committee. This is an illusion. This was an illusion. That's right, an illusion. Just a delusion that Wakui was forcing me to experience. Kurusu wasn't killed twice. She was killed once, and the second was just an illusion. Pick it up. Huh? Wakui said something strange. Kurusu's body stood up in answer to her words and picked up her head again to his words. Okay. Then she put it back on her body. Was she supposed to be that hero whose head was stuffed with red bean paste? This wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. But maybe laughing would have made it easier. My vision blurred. I realized I was crying. I started to hear Kurusu's sobs. Hey, Takuru, why am I alive? He just cut off my head. Why? Tell me, Takuru, why is Mr. Wakui killing me? I felt like I was going to go crazy. I didn't want to see anymore. I wanted everything to go totally black. This was all a delusion. That's what I wanted to believe. When would it end? How many times would Kurusu have to have her head cut off before he'd finally let her die? How many times would I have to see her head cut off before he'd finally let me die? I couldn't take it anymore. I was sick of this. If I could just destroy my own mind, then I wouldn't be able to feel anything. I could be at peace until I died. That'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be okay, wouldn't it? And suddenly, there was a noise like a trumpet that filled the whole Shibuya sky. The sound! It can't be. For the first time, Wakui's expression changed to one of shock, and he looked directly at the still unconscious Kazuki. That's right, the sound was one I'd heard already once before. It can't be Kazuki's power? Kazuki's words? Kazuki's delusions? Had one become real? The super strong sumo sticker? But if it had, what form was it going to take? If nothing else, I couldn't see anything happening near where we were. Both Wakui and I listened carefully. I tried to listen and see if there was anything to be heard but Kurusu's sobs. I looked around desperately, trying to find the sumo sticker. What was it? What had changed? I heard a faint noise, like a rumble in the distance. It was far smaller than the sound of the trumpet I'd first heard, but the floor began to shake in answer to the sound. It wasn't an earthquake. The tremors were spaced too closely. It was outside. Something was happening outside. Ignoring Kazuki, Kurusu, and Wakui, I staggered over to the glass window. Oh my god, is it like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but it's a giant sumo sticker? Because that'd be fucking hilarious. I wanted to see it for myself. What form had Kazuki's last, uncontrollable wish taken? In some tiny corner of my crippled heart, I thought to myself that maybe it would be nice if whatever it was destroyed this whole insane world. I realized that I was on the verge of going mad. But even so, I looked outside with a burning hope in my heart. I looked down at the city of Shibuya below, and there, I saw it. I suddenly realized that something was wrong, and I didn't want to admit that it could be real. I thought it might be another illusion of Wakui's, but what the hell is that thing? Wakui had forgotten all about toying with me and was instead gazing in awe at the unbelievable sight before him. From the look of things, it wasn't something he had created. It was real. This was what Kazuki had created. When I realized this, I was awestruck. I mean, the scale was all wrong. It's like, it doesn't even look like the right one, does it? But it is literally like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes! That's the only line I can think of for that scene, but like, oh my god. This is so Ghostbusters right now. Well, I mean, I couldn't keep my mind blank, and I just Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I love it so much. It's so funny. Oh god. It was holding the cylinder tower of the 107 building like you or I might hold a body pillow. It was shaped like a human. It was pretty pudgy. No, it was obese. The surface of its body was slick and shiny. Whether it was sweating or just what its skin, or that's just what its skin was like, I couldn't tell. It was mostly naked except for a loincloth around its waist. You did say sumo sticker, and so people were thinking of Sumo Man. Its black hair was oily and clung tightly to its head, but there was no top knot. Its hair was parted perfectly in the center. Strangely enough, its face had 2 mouths, 2 noses, and 3 eyes. It was not the face of a human. A sumo sticker. Its face was a sumo sticker. The center eye was closed, but the other 2 were flung wide open, and even at this distance I could see that the giant eyeballs were constantly moving. Its mouth was continually opening and closing. It didn't seem to be eating anything. Whether it was sleepy or thirsty or maybe even trying to speak, I couldn't tell. Its movements were sluggish and lumbering. It was like a giant monster from a kaiju movie. Yeah, a giant monster. That was the perfect word for it. It was as tall as the 107 building, after all. The giant sumo sticker man, at least that was what I decided to call him, had been very interested in his feet since the moment I'd first seen him. If I remembered right, there was a portal device over there, and the place was crawling with monsters. Giant sumo sticker man lifted up one of his feet off the ground and flicked it a little. It was covered with monsters clinging to it. From this distance, they looked like tiny little pieces of garbage, but I could still see them. Giant sumo sticker man kept shaking his left leg, but the monsters didn't let go. And then, the 2 mouths howled in unison, and it slammed its left leg into the ground. The monsters were knocked off. In fact, he'd crushed the portal device itself. The pyrokinetic had been annihilated when she touched the device, but evidently it wasn't capable of handling something the size of Giant Sumo Sticker Man. The horrible portal device that had caused so much pain was crushed beneath the feet of Giant Sumo Sticker Man. One of them, anyway. I started to laugh. This time it wasn't out of resignation. I hadn't gone crazy. Faced with the overwhelming size and scale of Giant Sumo Sticker Man, after all the time I'd spent running and being afraid for the past week, it all just seemed kind of stupid. Wait. What the hell is that? That's impossible. It's insane. I could understand why Wakui was panicking. In the face of something like that, your only options were to laugh, scream, or pretend it didn't exist. Who the hell had dreamed that thing up? Multiple people had to share the same precise image, down to the smallest details, for Kazuki's words to become real. Was that what they'd taken from Super Strong Sumo Sticker? It was a miracle created by astronomical odds. The human imagination can be a scary, scary thing. I mean, Takeru. Kazuki had woken up and staggered over to me. This is so absurd. I quickly grabbed her body to steady her. Her mouth fell open too when she saw Giant Sumo Sticker Man. Did I? Yeah, I'm sure of it. Then... Kazuki closed her eyes tight. Can you beat up Mr. Wakui for me? As if in answer to her words. Giant Sumo Sticker Man howled once more. He looks crazed, look at him. And waved a giant arm, knocking down the 107 building tower. As the rubble and dust flew up into the air, Giant Sumo Sticker Man looked at us. That's terrifying. Did he recognize us? Or maybe Kazuki? Giant Sumo Sticker Man's central eye opened. It was a black pupil with a crimson iris, and the third eye was looking straight at us. When it saw us, a sense of indescribable terror and exhaustion raced through my body. My knees started to shake, and I couldn't even stand. My vision blurred, my ears started to ring, and I felt like I was going to throw up. Well, it's the right sticker, I guess. I imagined every drop of blood in my body freezing. My whole body started to shudder from the cold. It was a million times worse than the sumo stickers I'd seen all around the city. What happened to Wakui? I forced myself to look through my blurred vision. Stop looking at Sumo Sticker Man. He was kneeling on the floor and vomiting. It was working. Giant Sumo Sticker Man was nullifying his power. Kazuki! Kazuki! Kazuki had gone pale and was clinging to me tightly. I shook her by the shoulders. Give him an order! Giant Sumo Sticker Man might listen to what you tell him. Kazuki nodded through the pain. She looked back out at Giant Sumo Sticker Man. Come here. Come here. Her voice was a hoarse whisper. But he heard it. Giant Sumo Sticker Man unleashed a mighty roar from both his two mouths and took a slow, ponderous step forward. His blubber shook as he walked. He traveled the distance between the 107 building and Scramble Crossing in only a few steps. Maybe he could sense Kazuki's thoughts. I had no idea how it worked, and I didn't care. At this point, there was no point in even asking questions. I couldn't get distracted. Come here. What in the name of God did you people make? What is that ridiculous thing? Don't you know what that thing's gonna do to the rest of the world? Wakui stood up and slowly moved toward us, shaking and wobbling as he moved. I slid between him and Kazuki and pushed him away. He couldn't regain his balance and fell flat on his behind. I have no strength. Is this the power of the sumo sticker? I see. So that's it. And that's why you made that thing. So what? It's an anti-gigalomaniac giant? That's insane. But don't think you've won. At almost the exact same moment that Wakui readied his Dai sword once more, there was a roar from below that shook the whole building. I looked down to see what had happened, and Giant Sumo Sticker Man was lying on top of an elevated section of the Yamanote railway line. He must have tripped on it. He grabbed the side of the station building and used it to help himself up, crushing the tracks in the process. And then he moved forward. That's fucking hilarious. And slammed himself into the side of the Hikario. The Hikario was struck with the force of hundreds, no, thousands of Yokozunas? The body slams continued. Again and again. It's so loud, the sound effects are so loud. The building itself began to buckle, and the shockwaves sent us to the floor. The glass broke and poured down on us. I felt a cold wind on my skin. When the shaking finally stopped, I looked up to see what had happened to Kazuki and Kurusu. I was relieved to see that they hadn't fallen out of the window. But Wakui was still alive. He'd stood up before we had and was cursing us in a rage. There was another huge shock. Wakui and the rest of us were knocked away. I was worried that the Hikario might break. I hate to ask guys, but can you do something about that thing? Oh no, never mind. Never mind. I'll just kill you first. Wakui didn't even have the energy left to keep up his good teacher act. He readied his dai sword, his face flushed with anger. He attacked us in desperation. Even though it was obvious he could barely stand, he was obsessed. But I wasn't ready to give up yet either. We finally had our own trump card, Giant Sumo Sticker Man! And I was every bit as obsessed with killing Wakui. You... I grabbed Kazuki's body in my arms and... leapt outside through the broken window. Takeru! The ground got closer and closer. I was scared. If I hit the ground at this speed, my bones would shatter, my body would be crushed, and I'd die in a spray of blood and organs. There was nothing to support me, nothing to grab onto. I couldn't keep my balance in midair. I clung tightly to Kazuki. Kazuki, make it catch us! Kazuki quickly understood and looked around for it. There was no need to look. Giant Sumo Sticker Man was right under us, clinging to the Hikario building. He twisted his neck to look at us. A huge flabby hand was extended beneath us. And caught us. It was soft, like a cushion. We were still going pretty fast, though, so the impact was intense. But at least we were alive. I looked up. It's kind of creepy and disturbing, but kind of cute. I could see his arm, his shoulder, and his giant sumo sticker face. Seen from up close, it made me feel even sicker. A part of me wanted to jump off and die rather than stay here. I closed my eyes, gritted my teeth, and did my best to fight the impulse. Miyashiro! Kazuki! I could hear Wakui's voice from above. I looked up and saw that he had jumped out of the building, too. Punch him out of the sky! What the fuck is that? A huge bird, like something out of an encyclopedia of dinosaurs, had flown out of nowhere, and Wakui had grabbed onto its leg. Look at look at his face, though. It's such a disturbing freaking CG, and yet he's like so happy and adorable. He's like, oh, this is great. His crazy happy face is so funny. It slid through the air toward us. That bird's from ESO 2, maybe. It's called a... I know that's like a Quetzalcoatlus? What? Something. That's a K, but I can't, anyway, I can't pronounce that. It was pink and almost completely featherless. I could tell by comparing its size to Wakui's that its wingspan was over 5 meters long. There was no such bird as that, and even if there were, it wouldn't live in the middle of Tokyo, and even if it didn't, wouldn't be taking orders from Wakui. Wakui's delusions had created it. Wakui flew past Giant Sumo Sticker Man, slicing into his shoulder with his dai sword. This is actually going to be a very long ending. Its two mouths moaned in pain. Instead of blood, white sumo stickers spurted out of the wound. The wind carried them across the Shibuya sky. That's kind of funny. Wakui spun around in midair for another attack. Kazuki? Then I realized that Kazuki was holding the sides of her temples in pain. Her body was so hot in my arms that I thought I might get burned. She was feeling weak. I wasn't sure if it was because of Wakui's attack or the fact that she'd used her power. Or maybe it was because she was giving orders to Giant Sumo Sticker Man. Don't push yourself too hard. I screamed, unable to stand seeing her in that state. But she immediately shook her head and looked at me in desperation. She spoke the words clearly. Let's defeat him. This is our only chance. We have our weapon, so use it. Could I do it? Kazuki grabbed me by the necktie as if to urge me on. She gritted her teeth and whispered in my ears through the pain. Takeru, you give it the orders. Then we can fight. I could do it. I could fight. In fact, I had a monster at my disposal that was capable of ripping Wakui in two, which meant I'd use that power to survive. Got it. Kazuki nodded and Giant Sumo Sticker Man's fingers closed around us. He brought his hand up and sat us on his shoulder. It's so funny because what do we have in our hand? That's not our die sword. Oh, we're holding on to hers. Okay. I was like, what are we holding? Right. I forgot hers had like the little things on either side. It was a little more unstable than his palm, but at least here I wouldn't have to look at his face. Just as I thought that, moving up here made me feel a lot better. I had Kazuki summon her die sword and plunge it into Giant Sumo Sticker's man's neck, giving us support so that we wouldn't fall off. Miyashiro! Wakui was getting closer. All you have to do is just swat him out of the sky. Done. He wasn't our club advisor or anything else. The committee of 300 could go to hell. Hit him. Giant Sumo Sticker Man's arm flew forward. He smashed Wakui with an open palm, the same way you'd swat a fly. Exactly. Wakui landed hard near Memorial Park. The impact could easily have killed him. But he wasn't normal, so I wasn't going to show any mercy. Stomp him! Crush him! I thought that was a sumo man. I'm like, oh, he has a line? No, it's Kazuki. Sorry. In a single bound, Giant Sumo Sticker Man covered the distance between here and Memorial Park. He could jump an amazing distance for a fat man. Kazuki and I clung as tightly as we could to the die sword in order to avoid falling off. That's loud. He landed hard, crushing the area where Wakui had fallen. The impact kicked up rubble and dust around his feet. Did we win? I looked down into the dust. Wakui's die sword flew up through the cloud. It was so fast that there was no time to dodge. The sharp blade stabbed into my shoulder. It tore through flesh and bone. The pain was incredible. It felt like I was going to pass out. Takuru! Kazuki held me up. She grabbed my hand and placed it on the die sword. It was just barely enough to keep me from falling. I bit my lip to get through the pain, and I looked in the direction the sword had come from. Wakui was down there, covered in blood and looking up at us in a fury, just a little from the spot where the Giant Sumo Sticker Man had landed. Miyashiro! Kick him away. Giant Sumo Sticker Man flicked Wakui away with his foot. Wakui's body flew like a ping-pong ball. At that point, the fight was over. But I wasn't done yet. Grab the weapon. By weapon, I meant Shibuya Earthquake Memorial, which had survived the impact of the jump and was sticking out of the ground near Giant Sumo Sticker Man's feet. I mean, this is like kind of an epic, bizarre fucking battle, but he reached down and yanked it out of the earth. His eyes locked on Wakui as he flew through the air. This is it. Kazuki, we're gonna impale him. With the memorial? That's gonna just shred him. Giant Sumo Sticker Man flung back the arm holding the memorial. Go! It's all of us. Kazuki's will and mine dwelt within the giant sumo wrestler's body. His arm snapped forward. The memorial was flung like a spear. The spear instantly crossed the speed of sound. With a sonic boom, it smashed straight into Wakui and obliterated his body. And that was the end. The die sword on my shoulder disappeared in a halo of light. Wakui was dead. He never had a chance. It was a one-sided slaughter. Well, I mean, he had a chance, sorta, before Sumo Man showed up, but, you know. The giant sumo wrestler howled into the open air. He was a destructive monster. He was a brutal giant. We had created something that threatened to destroy the balance of the entire world. I looked up at the Hikario and saw Kurusu waving at us from the shattered sky lobby window. Good, she ain't dead. We survived, huh? Yeah. For better or for worse, both Kazuki and I had survived. What awaited us now was a hell worse than anything we'd gone through so far. We might have brought this terror not only to ourselves, but to the entire world. Nothing about the world would ever be the same. And we'd be left to make our way in it, like lost and frightened children. Even without the Committee of 300's decision, Kazuki and I were enemies of the world for creating such a place. Maybe it would have been better if Wakui had killed us. You just have Sumo Man destroy the portals and the monsters, because he can just easily stomp them. And then, you just tell Sumo Man to go to sleep, like Godzilla. He goes sleeps in the ocean until you call him because you need defense in World War III or some shit. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. There was that, and then the fact that I had no idea what we were going to do next, and then the fact that my shoulder was still bleeding and it hurt like hell, but Kazuki was in my arms, looking relieved and at peace. So at least for this one moment, I could be grateful for the warmth I felt. That's what I thought. I mean, it's kind of an interesting, like, ending. We're like, everything is fucking awful, but, you know, it's alright. Just gotta be like an after credit scene. Or not. I don't know. It's still black. What's happening? Deep sky end. Oh, no, that was it. Okay. Interesting. At least in, Artemura's, there was like a little after kind of thing. Oh, no. Okay. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go find the thing. Where did I save it? Did I save it? This. Okay. We're gonna get the bad end now, because we got like 9 minutes. After everyone tells me what they saw compared to what I heard, we just have to do this wrong, I think. So hold on, let me just pull this up. I'm pretty sure we just have to get this wrong and then we get it. Which it might just be like, Wakui kills us. Which is what I'm assuming. Nicole, I can't stop trying to, get all the mapping triggers wrong. Okay, that's it. Okay, so we just have to do it. Okay, alright, I'll start. Let's just go, like, here, sure. Go over here. I know that's not right. Let's go over here. Let's go far over as we can. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think we did everything. We put the 3 in the worst possible spaces, so we didn't do any of them right. Even though it's weird because we put them in the wrong spot, but then we still had the, yeah, they're in a circle around Shibuya Station, but they're really not. So I figured he was going to kill us here. You know what I mean? Or maybe we go through the whole entire thing, and then because we got it wrong. Oh, you know what? I'm wondering if we're like, hey, we just go this way, and then we get eaten by monsters on the way. Because, like, we put the pins in the wrong spot. We just had to do the mapping triggers wrong, and I put them all in the wrong spot, so you would think. Are you going to go through the whole thing? If we wanted to get to the cardio, we'd have to avoid the monsters appearing from the portal device. Fortunately, after everyone's efforts yesterday, we knew where they were. No, we don't. That's awesome. If you put them in the wrong spot, we just go in the wrong place. I had the location saved in my Pokécom. We could use it to take the safest and shortest route to the cardio. We get eaten by monsters. There you go. Kazuki looked gloomy. We were going to die, yes. I didn't blame her. We absolutely are going to die. But that didn't mean we could stay here. If we didn't go, we couldn't save Kurusu. We're not gonna save Kurusu. Let's go. I urged Kazuki on as we headed for the station. But I'd underestimated things. I'd underestimated how dangerous Shibuya was. I'd underestimated how much the delusion Kazuki had created had echoed. I'd underestimated everything. I ran and found myself in a typical Shibuya back alley. I can't read. How had this happened? There was a terrifying roar from behind us. The footsteps were loud enough to shake the ground, and they were getting closer. I turned back, afraid and in despair. A huge red dragon thing was following us through the narrow alley. Kazuki was clinging to my arm, completely out of breath. How had this happened? To put it simply, the map was wrong. There was a discrepancy between the map we'd made for the portal devices and where they really were. They were like, "You idiot! You killed us!" I know, but... And because of that, I ran straight into the monsters like an idiot. It was my mistake. I'd been careless. Yeah, on purpose. I should have been more careful when going over all this with the newspaper club yesterday. But now that I'd screwed up, there was no sense in dwelling on yesterday's mistakes. At this rate, we both end up as dragon food. I wouldn't make it to the cardio, and I wouldn't be able to save Kurusu. I didn't plan on surviving anyway. But I had hoped at least that Kurusu could. If I got eaten by a monster here, I'd die for nothing. Kazuki was still panting, her shoulders shaking with pain. Her forehead was covered in sweat. I couldn't count on her for anything for a while. This was my screw-up, and I had to be the one to fix it. I looked around. I was looking for my dai sword. If I could use that weapon, too. I'd seen Arimura and Kazuki use it, and I knew well how powerful it was. Maybe that would be enough for me to fight back against the monster. It'd be better than trying my karate, at least. So come on. Come on, dai sword, appear! Of course, I had no guarantee it would. It was too much to hope for that. I might find my dai sword here. But I had to pray anyway. But it's gone. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. Why? Would it hurt to help me out just this once? I couldn't help but complain to God or maybe fate. In the face of death, in the face of overwhelming power, why couldn't they at least give me a little hope? Come on, dai sword. I screamed. And the monster screamed too. Oh no, I pissed it off. And it was finally starting to calm down. I put my hand over my mouth to stifle a moan of terror. And in my mind, I tried to focus on using the only weapon I had. I was looking at a scooter parked in the road. I glared at it and grit down on my teeth. I focused. Move, I said. If I could use my power to slam it into the monster's head, I could buy us time. Even if I couldn't use the dai sword, if I could at least use this. I wasn't able to use it at all when I'd been chased by the pyrokinetic, but this time... Move, 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 move! That's what you're for, right? That's why I was given this power, right? In comics and in anime, your power always awakens at times like this. Now! It has to be now! I can't die here. I need to save Kurusu. So move. Move, move! Move, 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 move! Move! I screamed. I focused. I bit down so hard I drew blood. But my power didn't appear. Heaven had given up on me. Fate was telling me to die here. Sure, I'll die. I planned on dying anyway. But at least let me choose where I die. This isn't fair. Kazuki. Once again, Save me. I made a selfish request. Do something about that monster. Of this tiny, weak, and silent little girl. I gave up and entrusted everything to her. We're going to die at this rate. We'll die before we even get to the Hikario. Kazuki had finally caught her breath. She gulped once and moved from me toward the monster. She's like, you go make sure that what's-her-face doesn't die. You can do something, right? You'll do something, right? She shook her head. I don't know, maybe, but I have to do what I can. That was all she said. The Flame Archdragon will die. That was what she screamed. The Flame Archdragon will die. She was trying to use her words to make a delusion echo again. The Flame Archdragon will die. But it's hopeless. It's hopeless, Kazuki. Your words won't echo through Shibuya right now. They won't spread. There's a curfew. No one's out here to hear you. The Flame Archdragon will die. The Flame Archdragon will die. Kazuki must have known it was useless, too. But she kept screaming, "Flame Arch Dragon will die!" But even her sad, useless struggle was cut off by a roar that shook the air. The monster had been keeping its distance, but now it howled and charged again. A huge red body bore down on us. There was nowhere to run. We were going to be eaten, just like that reporter. Kazuki, do something! Kazuki readied her dai sword. She stood in front of the monster. She was so small compared to it. But I still had hope. I mean, she's at least trying. I mean, we did try to get our dai sword. We're just useless and haven't used our magic, because, you know, maybe that sword could do it. Because honestly, in the main route, we at least managed to manifest our dai sword, and, like, that was the start of being able to, like, work on our power. But in each one of these routes, it didn't work. We ran away, and, like, we've never worked and tried to get, like, manifest our powers, so we're kind of fucking useless, so. Maybe that sword could do it. Maybe the dai sword. The dai sword could surely kill the monster. Aha! Kazuki attacked. Oh, she was more like, ah! Anyway, she charged at the monster and swung the sword down. Go! Cut through it! We were gonna survive and make it to the Hikario. So please survive, Kazuki. But of course, reality wasn't so kind. The monster howled once more and whipped out its front leg. Kazuki's body flew away. Its legs were thicker than tree trunks and its claws were sharp. It was a simple matter for it to tear apart a human body. It was just like stepping on an insect. Kazuki was killed. It happened so fast I couldn't even follow it. But still, I screamed. The strength fled from my legs, and the next thing I knew, I was lying on the ground. I couldn't stand. I didn't have the strength. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was an idiot. I was wrong to ever think I could take a monster like this head on. It didn't matter whether I was using my power or the dai sword. The monster ignored the bloody lump that had once been Kazuki and turned toward me. I underestimated it. All the monsters in Shibuya were just so unreal that I'd felt like I was playing a game. I thought that I would be the one person who was okay. I thought that since Kazuki had created the delusions, they wouldn't attack her. But Kazuki was dead. She'd been slaughtered by the delusions she'd created. This was insane. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think it was real. A huge jaw swung down in front of me. The breath that came out of it smelled terrible. Terror pierced my body as I heard the monster roar. I was forced to realize that I was powerless to do anything but become its next prey. The monster put no special thought into eating its prey. It just ate what was in front of it. The dragon opened its mouth. I saw countless rows of fangs. It could crush a human skull the same way I could eat a candy bar. I'm sorry, Kurusu. In the end, I couldn't do anything at all. I couldn't save anyone at all. This was all my fault. And now it was time to take responsibility for all the chaos I'd caused. Hey, at least in Kazuki's main end, we didn't die. I could feel the monster's fang bite deep into my body. Ouch. And I could tell it had bitten off my torso. Just before everything went black, I realized that this is what it meant to become something's dinner. Bad end. No fucking way. That was just... I would like... Okay. You kind of... We ran into monsters and we died, but they dragged that on to torture you. You're like, the fuck? That's a lot. Like, game, that's rude. Game, that is so rude. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. No. I forgot you gotta go like this. But, like, there's some Kazuki ones, right? Let's see. Whoops, that's zooming out. Ooh. All right, next. Kazuki as we know her. We have this one. That one's amazing. But, like, most of them... There's not a lot of Kazuki. My favorite is the one with her grabbing her boobs. It's so funny. That one is hilarious, because all the other Kazuki ones are kind of traumatic. Like, if you think about it. Like, we're all dying and shit. Like, these are all, like... Like, see, at least, like, some of them have, like, cute ones. Like, okay, Arimura, Jesus.
Look at my bathing suit.
Well, this Kazuki one's kind of cute, though. Like, she's kind of adorable there. Okay, I like that one, but I'm sorry, the one of her, like, when we're in her body and she's grabbing her boobs is fucking hilarious. It's the funniest goddamn CG. I love it so much. It's so wrong. The drool is... I love this one so much. Oh god, I can't leave you on that one, though. I want to so bad, but it's slightly inappropriate. It's like, it's the drool. It's the drool pouring out of her mouth because it's us grabbing her boobs, but like, you know, she doesn't have a lot. She really doesn't, except for like traumatic ones, you know what I mean? Because like, I think all the ones here are like, scared. That one, she, poor thing, peed herself. Like, all these ones are like, traumatic. Like, this is like the only... Well, wait a minute, there's a bunch of these, but I think these are all, like, the same. Like, now we're covered in blood, that's just, like... And, like, this one, she's super cute, but it's, like, Kurusu's in it. And that one, she's gonna get eaten, so here we go. This is the... So sad for her! This is, like, the best CG she had. Okay, the best CG is her groping her boobs, because we were in her body, which is just, that one's just hilarious to me, but, you know. Anyway, so that was Kazuki's route and endings and everything. Did not go the way I thought it would. I was not expecting monsters and portals. I was not expecting the sumo marshmallow man. Oh, it was kind of funny in a really traumatic kind of way. Like, there was a lot of shit that was horrifying about it, but it was still kind of funny. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just out of left field. Like, everything about this game is weird, and there's weird powers and shit, but, like, there is something so different about, okay, we have weird powers, and there's, like, government conspiracy, like, weird shadowy organizations and all this shit, and then there is, like, monsters, portals, and a giant sumo man. They're in 2 separate ballparks. I don't know what happened, but, like, anyway, it was interesting, but I think Yamazoi's is next, because Kurusu's is the last one before the true ending or whatnot. So I think we do Yamazoi's endings next, and she's got quite a few. She's got a lot of bad endings. And I think she actually has 2 quote-unquote true endings. I won't call them good endings, because I don't think that they're good, necessarily. Kazuki's were fine. Like, Kazuki's was kind of fine. I guess that's a good ending. It's questionable, but nobody died. Like, Arimura's ending was... That was not good. That was horrible, but... So I guess I really shouldn't call them good endings. But I guess... Yamazoi has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 bad endings, and then 2 regular endings. And one of them is the true ending for her, and then another one's just a different version of that. So, So, oh, that's how to get her bad ending. So, we'll use the Steam guide to, it says you can do either one. So they all have to be negative, and we did save at chapter 5 in Arimura's route, so we have that ready to go. And then so we're gonna have to skip a lot, because we have to skip through chapters 6, 7, and 8. So choose positive on the delusion that appears before the route's title card is shown. How am I supposed to know which one that one is? I guess that's the one where we go through here. Delusion trigger in her route. Well, wait. Oh, no. Okay, the divergence. Wait, I'm trying to figure out which one. That says 5. Yeah, that one's all positive. And then you get to chapter 8. Betrayal. This is the thing I don't know. I don't know which one is the one before that. You know what I mean? Because the guide, neither one of the guides tells you, so I have no fucking idea which one it is. Like, before! That doesn't help me! It doesn't help me at all. It's like, choose that one. Do positive on that one. Tell me which fucking one it is. Tell me what the setup is. I don't know which one it is, so... I guess, well, okay, this is... in chapter... well, that's in chapter 8, so, I mean, it tells you where the divergence is, but it doesn't tell you which delusion. But the other guy, the one... I don't know, so we'll have to figure it out. It's going to take a lot, because the one guy tells you... after the end of chapter 8, choose positive on the delusion that appears before that title card. And then... to complete but the other guide is like only goes through do all negative for these 4 and positive for the one in chapter 5 that I've saved, and then it tells you nothing, and then it's like, here's where it diverges. Well, but so neither one of these is good. They both kind of suck. Like, you just assume I remember which fucking delusion is the one before the end of chapter 7. I don't fucking know which one's the end of chapter 7. You know what I mean? Like, I guess we can no, and you can't skip back in this game, so that sucks. So. Anyway, oh, well, maybe, I don't know, one of the other guides might tell you which one's the last one, and we can figure it out. I'll figure it out, but I feel like it's going to be very complicated, and we're probably going to get a lot of frustration, because both of these guides kind of suck a little with stuff like that. It's like, you're not giving the right details, and it's like, it's already complicated enough, without you being like, just do this here! Yeah, but where is here? You just said the word here, that doesn't help. Like... I don't know. Anyway, we'll start attempting Yamazoi's endings in the next part. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.